to CFB Nation.
Welcome to the Governor of College Football, and I am the Governor of College Football. That's right, also known as Lever KT, and I'm here to give you guys my top 25. Before we get started on today's show, I got a couple of shout-outs I want to do. The first person I want to shout out is Kelly Ford of K4 Ratings. A lot of the images that I use today are from him. I believe he's the best rating guy in the world, not even just, underground or unknown people. His account is blowing up. He puts in a lot of work. He's also the assistant commissioner of the Horizon League. And he's busy, very busy during the basketball season and right before the basketball season. So the fact that he's able to get these ratings out are phenomenal. And I also want to shout out Draft Countdown, my guy Shane, and my guy Brian Brosarge. I use their stuff for On the Clock, which is a show we do on the Toilets, the title brand, on Thursdays. And I also use it a little bit for today. I trust these guys, so I'm shouting out both of them. Make sure y'all check out Draft Countdown on Twitter and on YouTube, and also check out K4 Ratings on Twitter as well. I'm ready for this. I'm excited for this. You guys are not going to agree with everything that I have to say today, but as long as you can respect it, form your own opinion, say something in the comment section. We always answer people who say something in the comment section, as long as it's not too weird or too ignorant, because we're going to ignore that. But super excited. And also, 97% of the people that watched our content are not subscribed. Why aren't y'all subscribing? Hit the subscribe button and engage the notification bell, and I promise you, we got you. We held you guys down all spring. We just had a plethora of locations, and during the season, every week we are all going to be in different locations. On field access, we got you, I promise you. Let's get into this top 25 ratings. Coming in at number 25, we have South Carolina. Shane Beamer got a lot out of this South Carolina team last year. 8 wins with this team and that schedule that they have. It's just phenomenal. The one thing I will say, their schedule is really hard. K4 has them ranked as the second most difficult schedule in all of college football. But if you use the win-loss metric from the prior season, they have the number one toughest schedule in all of college football. Week 1, North Carolina. Week 2, Furman. Week 3, Georgia. Week 4, Mississippi State. Week 5, Tennessee. Week 6, Florida. In the first 6 games, we're going to find out who this team is. And if Shane Beamer's able to come out of that thing 3-3, 4-2, you got to put some respect on this name, because that's a difficult schedule. The only give me really is Furman. Anything other than that is it's just uncivilized. Let's get into some of their key players. Spencer Rattler put on what I think is probably the best cornerback performance last year. That game in Tennessee, I didn't expect that, but he put on a show in that game, and he looked like that number one quarterback that we had talked about a couple of seasons ago. Let's talk about some of their other key players that they have on their team. For starters, Antoine Wells, a wide receiver, 68 catches, 928 yards, 6 touchdowns last season. Tight end Trey Knox is also a player to watch for South Carolina. Let's get into my number 24th team. That's right, we're talking about North Carolina. They opened up with South Carolina. Their strength for schedule, 62 middle of the road. You're going to see a lot of ACC and Pac-12 teams kind of have middle of the road schedules. It's kind of just the way it worked out. Then at Appalachian State, Minnesota, Pitt, Syracuse. I really like the makeup of this team. I believe Mac Brown, their head coach, is just one of those people that you have to protect. Arguably one of the greatest coaches of our time. I really like that team, and everything is on the shoulders of Drake May. Drake May has a lot of hype coming into this season. A lot of people you'll see on their draft rankings for the 2024 draft, they have Caleb Williams 1 and Drake May 2. But Drake May can be impressive this year, and he is showing all these NFL scouts the thing that they want to see from him this season. He could arguably be the first quarterback taken off the board next season. As crazy as that sounds, but it can be true. Another player to watch, Devontae Walker, linebacker, Power Echols. He had 103 tackles last year. Also, he had 2 sacks last season. 24, North Carolina. Coming in at the number 23 spot, I have UCLA. Ooh, I done jumped ahead a little bit. Y'all done got to see who my 22nd team is. But UCLA, I don't know how many people feel about this. Of course, Chip Kelly, I think he's figuring it out. You've seen them each year kind of get better with time of possession. Carson Steele is the player to watch. We seen what he did at Ball State last year, over 1,500 yards. I think he fits their system very well, and I believe his stats can kind of be comparable to what Charbonnet was able to do last year. Charbonnet, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get a sip at what Charbonnet was able to do the last couple of seasons there. Let's talk about that freshman quarterback, Dante Moore. He's going to be starting. I think Chip Kelly is going to try to simplify things for him, make things easy. He was the third-ranked player by 24/7 Sports. And of course, what UCLA, we can't forget their edge. Latu. He should be going in the first round, and most people draft ranking. Some people have him in the second round as well. Let's get into my number 23 team. Y'all was able to see a sneak peek. Texas Tech, I think this is the first team where people in the comments gonna be like, okay, bro, what are you talking about? I'm gonna tell you what I'm talking about, because I know there is a team I have in mind that could have been in this spot. Well, two teams I have in mind that could have been in this spot. Before not ruining or doing any spoilers for these rankings, I'm going to keep it P. But there's two teams I have in mind that could have been in this spot. But let's talk about Texas Tech. First thing first, let's talk about their head coach. Joey McGuire is a guy that I love. He's truly building something down there in Texas Tech. And then let's talk about their big three. Their big three and quarterback Tyler Show, running back Taj Brooks, and wide receiver. And this wide receiver is a wide receiver that I'm really big on. That's Jerron Bradley. I think he's going to have a big year this year. Nino, he and I did a CFB Nation episode quite a few months ago, and he told me, give me one wide receiver you think is going to have a breakout year. Jerron Bradley is that guy for me. He's 6'5". He did this as a true freshman last year. Definitely got freshman honors. 52 catches, 751 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's going to make a lot of plays this season. I believe he can up those this season. So Texas Tech, my number 22 team. Let's talk about my number 21 team, Kentucky. Got quite a lot to say about Kentucky. I believe that the North Carolina State transfer quarterback Devin Leary can be more successful this season than Will Levis was last season. And the number one reason really is that Rich Gangarello was gone. I believe his inability to open up the playbook sometimes and the offensive line inability to block really sold him last year. You think about that Tennessee game, Will Levis had 98 yards. I believe that Liam Cohen will put this Kentucky team in places to win. And then look at their schedule. Yes, it's an SEC schedule. Yes, they have the 10th rate schedule in the nation per K4 ratings. Ball State, they lost Carson Steele. That should be a win. Eastern Kentucky, that should be a win. Akron, that should be a win. Vanderbilt, that should be a win. Kentucky can start off the season 4-0, maybe even 5-0 against against Florida, and then they got to play Georgia. Let's say they lose that one, 5-1. Let's say they could beat Missouri. That's 6-1. They could be the darlings of college football this season as they were last season. And then they got a murderous schedule down the stretch. Tennessee, Mississippi State, Alabama, South Carolina, and Louisville. So we'll see how they fare out. K4 got them in between somewhere 5 wins and 7 wins. 7 wins being kind of the height of his ratings. But let's get into the number 20th team, Kansas State. I like Kansas State a lot. I actually like Kansas State an awful lot, mainly because of their offensive coordinator, Colin Klein. That's not to take anything away from their head coach, Chris Kleiman. But I believe Colin Klein is one of the best play callers in the nation. You've seen how he was able to utilize Martinez. Adrian Martinez looked like a different quarterback in this system than he did at Nebraska. Let's be honest. Will Howard was productive when Adrian Martinez was injured. 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 60% completion percentage. I believe that they can get that up. If they can have that floating somewhere around 66, 67, or 70, they're going to be really good. And then think about what they got in a running back. Yes, they lost Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn was my number 1 rated running back heading into the college football season last year. Not based on the draft, just based on what I believe he would be to his team last year. Let me clarify that. They getting Trayshawn Ward from Florida State. I really like this Kansas State team. And not to mention wide receiver Keegan Johnson they got from Iowa. And it's interesting, the last Iowa player that transferred there was Julius Brents, who was just drafted in the second round of the NFL draft. Shout out to Julius Brents. If you go to my Twitter at @Leverett_KT, the thing that's pinned at the top of my Twitter is my Julius Brents interview. If you haven't checked that out, check that out there. Coming in at my number 19th team, I have Utah. Utah is a team that really arguably could be a lot higher on this list. K4 have them rated as the number 15 team in the nation. I think Utah is the most physical team in the Pac-12. Oregon State certainly is in that argument there, but I think for my money, what Winningham and company do there, they're very physical. The interesting thing about Utah last year is that you think about that Florida game. What if they could have that Florida game back last year? You have to really think about that. Also, the thing that comes to mind with them is that Brant Keithy was supposed to be the guy at tight end last year. Granted, they do run a lot of 2 tight end sets, but with Dalton Kincaid came on scene and he was able to do and play his round in the first round of the 2023 NFL draft, I'm very excited for this team. Not to mention quarterback Cam Rising. I would like to see development there. We've seen him not be afraid to run the ball the last 2 years. I think it would be in their best interest for him to run the ball a little bit more this year. And also, the one player to watch is freshman wide receiver Mikey Matthews. Definitely been making a lot of noise in spring camp. So, it's one freshman you want to watch at Utah, certainly him. Coming in at number 18, Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin reminds me of a lot of guys where I grew up at. The Leverett in my name, Leverett KT, is the street that I grew up on. It's also the street that my parents met. It's right near Southeast Washington, D.C., but it is on the Maryland side. And growing up there, you'll see from time to time, different neighborhoods and I get along and beef with each other. And then you see the guys with bravado that kind of always pull one over on the next guy. That's what Lane Kiffin is to me. And there were reports last season he was going to be heading to Auburn, and a reporter reported it like it was facts, which it may have been facts, but Lane Kiffin decided to own them, and it was beautiful. I know a lot of people remember that. I don't remember the reporter's name, but I wish I did. But let's talk about some of the key players on this Ole Miss roster. The quarterback room, Jackson Dart, Spencer Sanders. When Spencer Sanders transferred there, my thought process was, okay, he must know he started. That's my thought process was. But right now, Jackson Dart does have the league. Of course, we got fall camp coming up. So we'll see who ends up being a starter. Right now, Jackson Dart got the lead. I think it will. I don't know. It's just a tough one because Spencer Sanders just gives them that dynamic with running the rock. You think about him and Kenshawn Judkins being able to run that read option. That would be beautiful. The one thing that Ole Miss has been able to do over the last few years is have a balanced offense. I remember in the 2021 season, at one point, they were top 15 in passing and rushing. That's really difficult to do. That's stuff like Jim Harbaugh likes to do with Michigan with the 50% pass and 50% rushing. So I like that. Kenshawn Judkins, shout out to the Judkins family, man. They have shown us love on CFB Nation. Just wanted to shout them out real quick. But Kenshawn Judkins is one of the best running backs in the nation. Also, one player to watch is LA Tech transfer wide receiver Trey Harris. He had 65 catches last season and 10 touchdowns as well. So Ole Miss 18. Y'all agree or disagree with what I had so far in this top 25? 25 South Carolina, 24 North Carolina, 23 UCLA, 22 Texas Tech, 21 Kentucky, 20 Kansas State, 19 Utah, 18 Ole Miss. Let's get into my number 17 ranked team, Wisconsin. Some of y'all gonna think I got them a little too high. K4 got them rated as the 21st ranked team in the nation. They got the 61st ranked schedule. I was kind of surprised by that because Big Ten, you would think their schedule would be a little bit higher than that. They open up with Buffalo, then at Washington State. That's a trap game. Then versus Georgia Southern, Purdue, and then they're really in the thick of things when it comes to their Big Ten schedule. But Luke Fickell is a guy that I believe in. If you've been watching CFB Nation for a while, I'm big on Luke Fickell. I'm big on the culture that he brings. Let's talk about some of the key players for Wisconsin. Tanner Mordecai was a great get from SMU. Great get. I love what him and Rashee Rice were able to do last year. Running back Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen is my number one running back headed into the 2024 draft. Some people got Travion Henderson higher. Some people got Rocket Sanders as the number one back. For my money, give me Braylon Allen. 17 years old when he stepped on the scene. I believe he'll be 20 when he gets drafted, possibly even 19 when he gets drafted. Big fan of him. And then Luke Fickell was able to get a transfer from his old school Cincy and Jake Renfro at center. So I love what they building, and the fact that Chaz Maluzzi is still there. The backup running back, who was the starting running back when Braylon Allen got there, but he's a formidable spell, and I like that 1-2 punch of Chaz Maluzzi and Braylon Allen. So, number 17 team, Wisconsin. All righty, we're starting to heat up. Let's get into my number 16 team, Texas A&M. I think this is when y'all gonna start throwing tomatoes at me. Go ahead, throw them. I'll give you a second to throw them. But they rated pretty high on K4 list as well. K4 has them at 16. I have them at 16. 6-point schedule. They still have a talented roster. I know they had some sort of a mass exodus at the end of the season. But this recruiting cycle, I think they still produce a top 20 recruiting team. And then last year they had the number 1 recruiting team. And, a lot of people was upset about that. But they've still been able to put a solid team together. Here is my worry when it comes to Texas A&M. Are they going to finally update their offense? Their offense is so predictable. It's so outdated. A lot of us know how outdated this offense is. But they did get offensive coordinator Bobby Petrino. And the college football world seems to be kind of 50-50 with Bobby Petrino. One, because I forgot which FCS school he was at. He didn't have a lot of success. He was like 18-15 there. But they do got some playmakers on this team. Connor Wegman, wide receiver Evan Stewart. And Evan Stewart is probably more known as a TikToker than a college football player. And that's no shot at all, because he's a damn good college football player, but he's also very popular on TikTok. And then they got UNC transfer cornerback Tony Grimes. Texas A&M got some players. A lot of this is just going to fall on Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino. Can this offense put up some daggone points this season? That's all I want to see. Coming in at my number 15 team, more tomatoes are coming. Notre Dame is my number 15 team. Number 11 on K4 list. The schedule ranking is number 29. I really like Marcus Freeman. I really like what they have on the offensive side of the ball. Sam Hartman at quarterback was a great get. Oh my goodness, that was a phenomenal get. And then you add that with the tackles that they have, and Joe Alt. Joe Alt will be a top 5 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. And then they also got Blake Fisher on the other side. Blake Fisher will probably be a 2nd or 3rd round pick next year. Maybe he can even play his way into a higher pick. But I love what they're building there. I believe sometimes you get a team like Notre Dame, you get the prestige. I guarantee they'll be a top 10 team in the AP poll. I guarantee it. Preseason AP poll, I guarantee they'll be a top 10 team. The prestige is there. The media race is there. On NBC every week, bro. First game is in Dublin, Ireland. Like, come on. They're gonna be there, but hey, it's just a team, with the prestige a lot of people like to talk about, and I may have them too low. And they probably will finish in the top 10 this year. But right now, from my vantage point, this is where I have them. I'm sorry. This is just where I have them. So, the one thing that I did want to mention that I did forget to mention about Notre Dame is the wide receiver, the freshman wide receiver that they have, who I think is going to be pretty damn good. Braylon, what is his name? Braylon James from Stony Point High School. I think he's going to be pretty damn good this season. So Notre Dame at 15. Let's get to my 14th team, Oklahoma. Shout out to my guy Boomer Sooner. I've learned a lot about Oklahoma over the last few years. I'm the executive producer over here at CFB Nation, so a lot of these shows I'm the one that's recording. And Sooner Shakedown is a damn good show. I really like Oklahoma Sooners fans too. They always show us a lot of support. But Oklahoma, their quarterback room is a thing that stands out to me. Dylan Gabriel. A lot of people forgot what Dylan Gabriel did his last fully healthy season at UCF. Very good. I believe he had 32 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Very shaky year last year, but Oklahoma as a whole had a very shaky year last season. I'm interested to see what this team could do this year. They definitely got some ball players that I like a lot. Let's talk about a few of them. The first player, of course, I talked about the quarterback room already. The next player I want to talk about is Dasan McCullough, who is Indiana transfer linebacker. My guy Boomer's been big on him. He's been giving me the word that he's been balling out all through spring camp. Can't wait to see what he's doing the fall camp. And then freshman safety, Peyton Bowen. That's Boomer's guy right there. And Boomer got Peyton Bowen having a good season this year. And Boomer is a mind that I respect when it comes to college football. And he is the first and the only person that I'm really listening to when it comes to Oklahoma football. So if he's big on them, hey, I'm be big on them too. So let's talk about the 13th team. And let me lower my brim because y'all about to get angry with me. Oh, they about to get real angry with me. Y'all about to get upset with. I am so nervous to go to this next slide, but let's get it. I'm ready for the smoke. LSU is coming in as my 13th rated team. LSU will be a top 5 ranked team by the AP poll. LSU will be a top 5 or top 10 team ranked by everybody this year. But I have them as my 13th team. Love what Brian Kelly is doing. I need to see Jaden Daniels take that next step. Yes, he put up some stats last year, but if you look at the first half of LSU games, there were times where he got impatient and took off with the ball. He wasn't like maneuvering around the pocket to make throws down the field. He wasn't. I do believe Neighbors is going to have a big season this year. We already know about Mason Smith. Their schedule ranked at 7th. They played Florida State week 1. I got Florida State winning that game. I know. Go ahead and throw some more tomatoes at me. I got Florida State winning that game. Then they play Grambling State, then at Mississippi State, and then pretty much the bulk of their SEC schedule. K Ford has them somewhere around 9 wins. Hey, 9 wins will be a damn good season with that schedule, and that's for a lot of these teams. He has them overall rated 5. And listen, like I said, I'm going to get a lot of tomatoes for this one, but this is my top 25 list. And I'm going to give you reasoning behind why this is my top 25 list. Let's get into number 12 team, Penn State. What how a lot of people feeling about Penn State? I know my boy Nino is feeling like it's put up or shut up time for Penn State. James Franklin, the head coach. Offensive coordinator is Mike Yurchik. Defensive coordinator is Manny Diaz and Anthony Poindexter. Shout out to Manny Diaz. Key players to watch. Chad Robinson will be going in the first round of the NFL draft or second round. Running back Nick Singleton is the guy there. Everybody know about him. Left tackle Olu Fashanu is a demon. Him and Joe Art will fight all year for who's going to be the first tackle taken off the board. But I got both of them ranked pretty high. And then Kent State transfer wide receiver Dante Sevis. And everything is really on, and I hate to say it this early, Drew Allard. Everything is on Drew Allard. Penn State is getting a lot of hype this season. An awful lot of hype this season. And granted, their schedule ranked is 41st, but looking at the schedule now, they could be 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Illinois is a tough out. I keep telling people that they don't get it. 3-0, 4-0, possibly versus Iowa. 5-0, could be 6-0 before they head into Ohio State, right? I say they lose that game. They could win it. It'll be tough to win in Columbus. Let's say 6-1, 7-1. I'm not giving them that Maryland game. Going into Maryland is a tough out, but I say they won it. 8-1, 9-1, 10-1. I'm sorry, they could definitely lose that Michigan game. That's a tough one right there. But it's home. Penn State, we could be looking at a Penn State team who's 11-1 at the end of the regular season. K Ford has them high. He has them ranked 7th. K Ford also has them winning somewhere around 10 wins this year. That could certainly be 11-1 or 10-2, and we'll have to see where that has them as far as it pertains to the Big Ten Conference Championship. But Jesus, Penn State, that's crazy. Coming in at my 11th slot is Tennessee. I enjoyed watching Tennessee last year. I truly enjoyed watching Tennessee last year. You think about that third Saturday in October, that game versus Alabama. Neyland was crazy. I'm just mad I wasn't there. Like it was absolutely a pandemonium. Losing Alex Golish is the thing I'm honored for them. I know a lot of people, they think about the quarterback play. The wide receivers that they lost to the draft, and Tillman and Hyatt. But for me, it's how do you replace Alex Golish? Because a lot of people are saying, Tennessee was just schemed. That's why Hendon Hooker was so successful. That's why Jalen Hyatt was so successful. It was scheme. Well, they did lose Alex Golish. So we'll have to see how that dynamic changes this team. That's the key thing for me. So offensive coordinator is Joey Haslull. Defense coordinator is Tim Banks. I like Tim Banks a lot. I watched a lot of Tennessee interviews after their first couple of practices for spring ball. Tim Banks was really high on Keenan Pili. That's BYU transfer linebacker. And then he absolutely loved the freshman class. He was saying he was just saying how focused that he was like, these are freshmen coming in, big men on campus, the man where they were at high school coming in, he was like, they were so focused, they were so motivated. And another player that he talked about was freshman linebacker Arion Carter. Joe Milton is the guy at the helm. Of course, Nico just waiting right there over his shoulder. Wide receiver Squirrel White, and of course Brew McCoy. They're gonna make a lot of plays this season. I have Tennessee at 11. I wonder how people feel about Tennessee. I know some people probably have Tennessee lower. Some people have them higher. K4 has them at 10th. Schedule rank is 15th. I don't know. I'm interested to see. This is one of those teams that I have 11th, but it wouldn't surprise me if they had a top 5 finish. It just wouldn't, just because of the culture there at Tennessee. Coming in at number 10, we have Oregon. Whew, did it again. I messed up again. I know y'all see that. Coming in at number 10, we have Oregon. K4 has them ranked as a 12th ranked team. I have them as a number 10th team. Schedule 55, middle of the road. Portland State, Texas Tech. We're going to find out about this team at Texas Tech. We're going to find out an awful lot about this team against Texas Tech. Hawaii, Colorado, Stanford, Washington State, Utah, California, USC, Arizona State, and Oregon State. And for me, when it comes to Oregon, it's the big 3 offensively. Quarterback Bo Nix, running back Bucky Irving, and then wide receiver Troy Franklin. They're the big 3 for Oregon. I think Oregon's going to make a lot of plays. They're going to put up some points, and then hopefully, just hopefully, Dan Lanning can get a little bit more out of that defense. I think last season, if we're looking in retrospect, after that Georgia team, a lot of people just wrote Oregon off, and then they slowly built wins. They built wins. They ended up having a damn good finish last season, finishing with 9 wins. Interesting to see where this team end up at. Coming in, I know y'all saw it already, at the number 9 spot, I got Washington. K4 has Washington ranked as the 19th team, rated as the 19th team. Their schedule middle of the road, around 45. K4 has them as a conference rank at 4. They do got some tough early tests. You got Boise State week 1, not a gimme. Tulsa, Michigan State. It'll be interested to see what Mel Tucker has that team at. California, Arizona, Oregon, Arizona State, Stanford, USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State. I just love the makeup of Washington. I truly do. I will be honest to say that I'm not a fan of this team. I love what Kalen DeBoer has done with this team. As a head coach. Also, Michael Penix Jr., he was almost lost at Indiana. He truly was. He was truly almost lost. He went to Washington. He found so much success, and he should be a first or second round quarterback in this draft, maybe third. Wide receiver Rome Odunze is a piece, in the edge. Braylon Trice may go in the first round as well. Let him make up at this team. Oregon, Utah, Oregon State. The Pac-12 is going to be difficult. Colorado should be an up-and-coming team. It'll be interesting to see if Colorado somehow ended up talking about Colorado. It'll be interesting to see if Colorado can become bowl eligible in year 1. I think that's a success for them. Coming in at the number 8 spot is the most hyped team in college football right now, Texas. It's put up or shut up time for Steve Sarkisian, and I hate to say it like this. There's a lot of minds in college football, people that we respect, that say this may be the most talented roster in all of college football in Texas. Also, schedule is very favorable. Granted, it's the number 20th schedule, but the Alabama game is going to say a lot. They had Alabama on the ropes last year. That was a great game. But to go in Alabama, if they get a win, and Sarkisian is able to be his sensei, that would be fantastic. So they started with Rice, then Alabama, Wyoming, Baylor, Kansas. That Red River rivalry, that's gonna be the last one we get in the Big 12. That's gonna be one for the ages. Houston, new team to the Big 12. BYU, new team to the Big 12. Kansas State, that's not a gimme. TCU, Iowa State, and Texas Tech. I'm not as big on Texas as everybody else is. I get it. Yes, they have a very talented roster. Yes, if Quinn Ewers play up to that top recruit in the nation billing that he had coming into college football, he can be dangerous. The wide receivers, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy. I've been big on Xavier Worthy. This team is loaded. Also get some good play from Jatavion Sanders, their tight end. Texas, I get it. I get the hype, but I'm just not as big on them as everybody else. But I still have them respectable at the number 8 slot. Coming at number 7, Clemson is a team year in, year out that everybody just forget about. They're still a top 5 program in college football. I don't care what anybody says. If you want to say top 10, say top 10, but they're still up there. Dabo Swinney finds this team to remain somehow a top 5, top 10 program every year without the utilization of JUCO and the transfer portal. How he does it, I have no clue. But K4 is big on them as well. K4 has them rated as the number 8 team. They have a 42nd ranked schedule, almost at the middle of the road. K4 has them at 10 wins this season. I could definitely see a scenario where they get 10 wins. But there's another ACC team I have rated above them. You probably guessed it already. But let's talk about the team at the number 6 slot. Oh, before we move on to Clemson, my apologies, Clemson faithful. I want to shout out to their staff. They showed me a lot of love. I was able to get on the field, talk with a lot of the players there. I will be at a handful of Clemson games this year. Looking at this schedule, I'll tell you which ones I'll be at. I'll definitely be at the North Carolina game. I'm going to try to get at the Notre Dame game. I got to see who else plays that year. And then Florida State game. So I'll certainly be at those 3 games this season for Clemson. On the field, I'll probably go live right after the game. I can't wait to see what this team does this year. Some of the players to watch, of course, running back Will Shipley. He's Mr. Everything. Cade Klubnik, what can we get out of him? And then Garrett Riley, one of the better play callers in the nation. We've seen the success he had at Texas Christian University last year. Garrett Riley just knows how to have a power run scheme out of the spread. It's always a numbers game for him. You know, if you try to put too many players in a box, he's going to attack you downfield. If you don't put enough players in the box, he's going to run the ball. I like this Clemson team. K4 likes this Clemson team as well. Let's get into number 6 spot. The number 6 spot is USC. You got to love USC. The Pac-12 is that one conference that I feel like USC should win it. But I don't know who will win it. Oregon is really good. Washington is really good. Utah is really good. I didn't have Oregon State on this list, but trust and believe they were on this list at one point before I exchanged it with somebody else. I won't say who I exchanged it for. I'll let you guys guess down in the comment section. But these are, and we're at the 32-minute mark. I love college football. I'm sorry. I wanted this to be a 17-minute video, but it ain't going to be no 17-minute video. You got to love the makeup of USC. They're scheduled, starting off San Jose State, Nevada, Stanford, Arizona State, at Colorado. That line is 25 points. That's going to be interesting. Arizona, Notre Dame, Utah, California, Washington, Oregon, UCLA. Tough schedule. We all know they got to return to Heisman. Caleb Williams. You think about Caleb Williams, he has the opportunity to do something that hasn't been done in almost 50 years, and that's win back-to-back Heismans. I'm not sure if he will get it this year because it's really hard. Recency bias is a thing in college football. I don't care what anybody else say, but he'll have to daggone there have a perfect season to have them in a college football player in order to playoff in order to win a Heisman. Wide receiver Brendan Rice is one to watch. I like that wide receiver core. I'm also a fan of Mario Williams. I know my guy Nino isn't, but I'm a fan of Mario Williams. And then Kalen Bullock, safety, is another player to watch for this team. It'd be interesting to see how this Pac-12 play out. It's going to be ugly, and we could get a situation where all Pac-12 teams have, the best Pac-12 teams have 3 or 4 losses, and none of them make the playoff. That would be heartbreaking. But hopefully this is the year. At number 5. Florida State. And this is a hill I am willing to die on. Jordan Travis. And we're going to find out quickly because they play LSU Neutral State game 2 of 2 because they agreed to a 2-game series. 36 ranked schedule. That may be the most difficult schedule in the ACC. I got to relook at it. I'm not quite so sure. But Norvell, I think, has his team trending in the right direction. I truly like Florida State. Everything starts and ends with Jordan Travis. What are we going to get from Jordan Travis? Each year, we've seen Jordan Travis step his game up. Every year, we've seen him step his game up. Jared Verse is going to be a name that you hear called during the 2024 draft. Jared Verse is really good. Running back Trey Benson is real deal, too. And one player that I think you all need to watch, who's going to be Jordan Travis' best friend this year, is tight end Jaheim Bell from South Carolina. Them 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s. Jaheim Bell name will get called. LSU, that's going to say a lot. For all the LSU people, I think a lot of the LSU people would have preferred me to switch Florida State and LSU. because I think I had LSU at 13. K4 got Florida State ranked 14th. I got Florida State ranked 5th. So that could be an easy swap. And if that happens at the end of the year, I can say, okay, I get it. So if there's one pick, I think, out of this entire ranking that I have, that I'll probably get, people will be angry with me at, it's certainly this pick. There'll be other teams angry at me because their team wasn't in the top 25, and I can get that. And we can always talk in the comment section. I tell y'all, if you reach out, you say something in the comment section, I'm going to respond. I always respond. But I am big on Florida State. I believe that Florida State can win 11 ball games this year. But we'll find out real quickly. Week 1. My top 4, I think it's taster's choice when it comes to the top 4. Some people gonna have this team at 1, this team at 2, this team at 3, this team at 4. But I think we can all agree that the top 4 teams are the teams that should be the top 4 teams. Coming in at number 4, Ohio State. Ohio State is rated 1, will be ranked 1 by a lot of people. K Ford is big on them, and I respect the hell out of K Ford. He got them ranked number 1 in the nation. He think that they'll get 11 wins this season. Ohio State has a damn good team. We already know about that wide receiver core. We know about the running back room. Best running back room in the nation. I know Michigan. I know you guys want to say you got the best running back room in the nation. And probably if we talking about top heavy, but I'm talking about Ohio State has a deep running back room. Because Travion Henderson is listed on some draft sites as the number 2, 3, or 4 best running back in the class, 2024 class. Right now, he's not even starting. Per the depth chart, that could change. Fall camp is coming up. Maya Williams is starting. And then you have Travion Henderson. And then you have Chip. And don't forget about Dallin Hayden. Dallin Hayden was very good last year. We've seen him single-handedly win the Maryland game. I get it with Ohio State. It's one question that I have with Ohio State, and I need you guys to answer. What type of production are they going to get at the tackle position? And we know about the defensive line is phenomenal. We can see 3 players called in the 2024 draft within the first 40 picks from their defensive line alone. We could arguably see 3. But I got to see this tackle play. They lost Paris Johnson. They lost DeJuan Jones. I know DeJuan Jones didn't get drafted as high as a lot of people thought. But I seen that guy at the Senior Bowl. He's a beast. I think the problem with DeJuan Jones was here. Some of the comments that he made during some of these team meetings, how his dream was to play basketball. He disappeared at the Senior Bowl. We really didn't know what was going on with him. So I feel like that's why some teams were like, they could have, felt uncomfortable with him. But he's a hell of a tackle. So that's my biggest question. Ohio State, they got the wide receiver core, best in the nation. Got the cornerbacks. Denzel Burke is a dog. They got the defensive line. I just need to see that line play before I can say, okay, this team is the number 1 team in the nation. But if you have the number 1, I get it. Top 4 teams, I think is just taster's choice. We can argue about, 5 through 25. We can sit down. We can argue about that all day. But the top 4 teams in the nation should be kind of everybody's top 4 teams, just in different order. Coming in at the number 3 team, I have Michigan. It's difficult with the Big Ten, man. But I like Michigan. I like the running back room. How could you not like like Michigan? I think the biggest question for Michigan is J.J. McCarthy. What type of development do we have with J.J. McCarthy? It's truly a question that I would like to know. Like the running back room, the wide receiver play is kind of where we would kind of say, okay, if it's one, I don't want to call it a weakness, but one area that could certainly utilize improvement is them. Sharon Moore is now the offensive coordinator. I know he split that title now for a few years in the past, so I like to see how he's calling the game. Of course, it's going to be that 50-50 that Jim Harbaugh like. And the 40th ranked schedule, and once again, Michigan non-conference schedule is cupcake. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green. Come on, man. Those 3 gimmies. Look at the lines for those 3 games. 35, 40, and 46. They're in Oklahoma State, bro. 2 years in a row. Weak non-conference schedule, bro. I can't stand it. Like, I get it. Like, you trying to give your team some cupcakes, find out who you are. But it's a dangerous play. And we're going to find out who this team is at Nebraska and Lincoln against Matt Rule. We're gonna find out where they at. And if they destroy them, that line is 17. That might be a little too high. We'll find out as we get closer to that game. But I got Michigan as my number 3 team. Number 2, I got Bama. Worst thing that happened for college football was Alabama not making a college football playoff. Worst thing that happened in college football, the best thing was Alabama not making the college football playoff. The worst thing was Alabama not making a college football playoff. And I explain. Nick Saban got busy. #1 recruiting class. He was not playing. And I remember during the national championship, David Pollack made a comment. I don't want to quote. I don't remember the comment exactly. But it was this look in Nick Saban's eyes and then on his face. If looks could kill, David Pollack would be dead, bro. He got busy. Some of the players that I'm watching for Alabama this year, and before we get to that, let's talk about some of the coordinators. Tommy Rees, great pickup from Notre Dame. Kevin Steele is their defensive coordinator. Edge Dallas Turner. A lot of people are saying that he's going to put up a lot of stats. He's another player that's high on a lot of people's draft boards. Cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry probably will be the first cornerback taken off the board in 2024 draft. And then you got also in their secondary, freshman free safety Caleb Downs. Alabama has put a good team together. The biggest question mark for them is quarterback. We don't know who's going to be starting, but a lot of people believe Tyler Buckner wouldn't transfer there if he wasn't starting. We'll have to see about that, but we've seen Nick Saban able to get, pretty decent teams out of subpar quarterback play. And if you guessed it already, the #1 team is Georgia. I know a lot of people have a problem with this. They won back-to-back national championships. They lost a lot of talent in the 2022 NFL draft, and then they came back for the 2022 season. They still won another national championship. Todd Monken is gone. He's the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Enter Mike Bobo. The last we seen of Mike Bobo, I believe he was an analyst for Georgia the last 2 seasons, but the last we seen of him as a coordinator was Auburn with Brian Harsin, and it was year 1 of him installing this. It was a disaster, if I'm being honest. They were able to run the rock pretty well, but they really couldn't move the ball down the field much. It ended badly. Brian Harsin had to make a move, and so he ended up firing Mike Bobo. Y'all have heard me tell this story before. I will always tell this story. When Mike Bobo was at Colorado State, the head coach, Colorado State tried to offer him, was it a pay increase? And he told him no. He said, I didn't deserve it. He said, no, keep it. I'm sure his old lady didn't like him saying, no, I didn't deserve this pay increase. But he told him straight up he didn't deserve it. I know he's probably learned a lot as an analyst. I love the analyst position that these college football teams have, where they just have great minds just behind the scenes, chilling, monitoring things. And I'm sure he was able to learn a lot. They're still going to kind of run Todd Monken's system. This team is still going to be really good. Am I saying that they're going to win another national championship by having them in my preseason top 25? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, until somebody else wins this national championship, they are the defending champions, and that's why I have them at #1. Let's talk about some of their key players. Carson Beck, quarterback. I know a lot of people feel like it's not really a big drop-off. Some people feel like it's an improvement between Carson Beck and Stetson Bennett. I know a lot of people don't like Stetson Bennett. I know, his attitude, his bravado is not what everybody cares for. I know I would even say Stetson Bennett has some haters. But what I will say, the guy won 2 national championships, but I know a lot of people feel like Carson Beck is better for the system. Safety Javon Bullard, one of the top safeties for the upcoming 2024 draft. Be interesting to see, how well he does. Defensive lineman Nick Stackhouse is getting a lot of hype. He's getting a lot of praise. A lot of people think he's going to be dominant on that defensive line. And then transfer wide receiver from Mississippi State, Ra Thomas, is that wide receiver. So this concludes my top 25 rankings. I'll go through those rankings one more time. Comment down in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. Number 25, South Carolina. 24, North Carolina. 23, UCLA. 22, Texas Tech. 21, Kentucky. 20, Kansas State. 19, Utah. 18, Ole Miss. 17, Wisconsin. 16, Texas A&M. 15, Notre Dame. 14, Oklahoma. 13, LSU. I know. 12, Penn State. 11, Tennessee. 10, Oregon. 9, Washington. 8, Texas. 7, Clemson. 6, USC. 5, Florida State. 4, Ohio State. 3, Michigan. 2, Alabama. 1, Georgia. As I always like to say, do something nice for somebody you normally wouldn't do. Always pay it forward. Peace and love. Peace and blessings. And until next time, y'all already know what it is. 1.
SB Nation.